Hi, I'm Jenn Drummond. Welcome to Seek Your Summit. As a mom, a business owner, and the first female to climb the 7-second summits, I realize that the mountains we climb are a part of our success. And it is up to us to go beyond that success into a life of significance. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Seek Your Summit. This is Jenn Drummond, your host. Today, I am doing another solo episode as part of the Breakproof book series. We're on episode number 2. You do not need to watch these in order. You can pick a chapter and go by any one of them, but you do need to buy the book, okay? Because this is just bonus material. It will make a lot more sense if you have the book in hand. So Breakproof, 7 strategies to build resilience and achieve your life goals. We are getting back to interview style podcasts. I'm super excited about them because they're all going to be filmed live in about 6 weeks from now. So stay tuned, but have fun with me on these episodes. Today, we are talking about chapter 7, and the goal is not the goal. I'm one of those people that is goal-oriented. And for the longest time, it was always about the goal. I want to do this, and I'm going to get there, and I want to double my income, or I want to have this, or I want to do that, or all these different things, right? Goals give us the North Star. They allow us to make decisions that either bring us closer to that goal or further away. So I think they're really important to have because they give you clarity, they give you purpose, and they give you direction. However, if you're doing it just for the goal, you're missing out on all the magic that happens in the pursuit. When I climbed Mount Everest, I was on top of that mountain for 10 minutes. I trained over 1,200 hours for that 10 minutes on the summit. If I was only doing it for the summit, that's a lot of time to sacrifice for a little bit of reward. And I remember getting that lesson then, and I'm looking back on this whole entire pursuit now that it's complete, and it wasn't even about the pursuit. It was about what the pursuit has made possible for me. I have friends on every continent. Some of them don't always live there. In Antarctica, no one lives there full time. But I've met people on every continent. I've been able to participate with organizations and charitable efforts that I never knew existed until I stepped into this thing. This supposedly selfish goal, because only mountaineers are selfish. That's a selfish pursuit. Well, this selfish pursuit brought me to Africa. I got to meet with some charitable organizations over there. I learned that women will miss school 1 week a month because they do not have period products. 1 week a month. So we got together some resources and were able to put 400 women in school for 4 years. Something I would have never known about, never been able to participate in, never been exposed to if I didn't do this selfish pursuit of mountaineering. So understand that people are going to have opinions on what you're doing. And that's because they can only look at it from their thin slice. They don't get to see the entire picture or the entire journey that you get to live every day. So yes, the goal is magic. It gives you direction. But I'm telling you, it's these little moments in between that the magic happens. So whatever goal you set for yourself, let it unfold and let it be more than the goal on purpose, intentionally. Like I didn't think about charitable things until that showed up on my doorstep. And then it allowed me to pursue the rest of this goal with that in mind. And you're going to find things on your path, whatever you're pursuing, and it's going to shift the way that you carry forward and how you look at it. So today's episode, I'm going to run a little bit different because I've actually received quite a few questions from different people on their pursuits after reading this chapter. And I just want to answer them to help you because I'm guessing if I've been emailed them by one person, they're being thought of by more than just that human. So one of the questions that I got asked is, how do you set goals that lead to meaningful growth beyond just the achievement itself? Heavy question, friends. Like, that's a big one. So I think to have meaningful goals that you're setting, it really has to align with your values and who you want to show up as a person. So I have friends that are research doctors, and they're trying to figure out ways to cure cancer. That's a huge undertaking. That's a huge goal. They recognize that they might not even achieve that goal in their lifetime, but the work that they do progresses their mission, and it helps other people get closer to making that goal happen. I think about it myself. Like, I was on Mount Tyree in Antarctica, the first American female to climb that mountain. My mom and grandma, if given the opportunity, wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. But with the way that society has evolved, I'm in position to do so. And the things that I do in my corner of the world, like the things that you do in your corner of the world, they matter. They shift things. I don't even know what my daughters are going to want to do someday, but I know the things I'm doing today are helping their tomorrow be possible. And the same goes for you. So maybe your goal isn't something you can achieve, but it's noble enough to pursue, and it's going to shift the world by the efforts that you're putting forth. So having goals that really align with values and things that you're passionate about are really important, I find. I also love to challenge myself. I'm a big believer that either your comfort zone is getting smaller or your comfort zone is getting bigger because you're pushing against your edges. I think it's really hard to keep a comfort zone in the same area. So I'm always looking for goals that are causing me to grow. When I took on this quest, I hadn't slept in a tent before. Okay, kind of a big thing to take on, not having slept in a tent. But that was an experience that I wanted to have. Do I love it? It's not my favorite thing, but it's also not my least favorite thing. I'll take a tent on the side of the mountain over a Holiday Inn, but I'll definitely take an Armand hotel over a tent if I had the option in the desert, for sure. So just understanding that when you are pushing against your comfort zone, you're expanding it and you're getting new skills and building up your confidence, and those things spill into other things that you do in your life. When I set meaningful growth goals, I make sure that I can measure them as well. Sometimes we set these big goals, like an Everest-sized goal, and it takes a long time to get feedback on whether you're doing it right or not. I think about it like raising my children. My oldest is 17. Verdict's still out if I figured it out yet, right? I mean, he's doing some things that are awesome and some things that I'm like, man, what did I do as a parent that's resulted in this outcome? Now, he participates in this whole thing too, but you get what I'm saying. So when you are setting a big, meaningful goal, I think it really helps to have these little micro goals or these little checkpoints in your pursuit, because it gives you signs of momentum and it gives you check-in points that says, okay, I'm making progress. Things are good. That helps you continue on your pursuit. So another question that somebody has sent in, they said, what steps do you take to reflect on your experience and extract valuable lessons for your next adventure? Okay. If you know me by now, you know I'm a huge fan of journaling. And not just the negative stuff like the grump dump. I've got the bucket list journal, the dream journal, and all these different things, but documenting the entire process. Because when I was doing these climbs, I was new at it. And every single thing that I wrote down for the next person that was going to climb the mountain. If they were new, what would I want them to know? What do I wish I knew? Like, I wish I knew to leave a pair of socks in my sleeping bag, so every night I could put on the same warm socks and then wear dirty socks sometimes during the day. Not ideal, but if I always had clean socks to sleep in, it just helped me sleep for some reason. That's something quirky about me. That's something that I learned. When we did some of the mountains and didn't succeed, like Mount Logan. When we did Mount Logan the first time, there was a team of 7. And we had a cook tent, and then we had 2 sleeping tents and all the things that went with that. That was a lot of work to set up and take down and build ice igloos and all the little details that you'll read about in the book. When we went back to Mount Logan a second time, once we reviewed our notes of what went well and what didn't, we cut our team down to 3 people. That 3 people made us much more efficient and effective and less risk if somebody got sick because there's less of us to get sick. So taking notes all the time has really helped me always refine and learn about myself. And then the more you know about yourself, the better you are at setting goals that are appropriate for you. When I'm done with a goal, I like to talk about it and metabolize it with other people, especially those that I was on the journey with. Because it's fun when we look back and we sit and having a hamburger and we sit down and we learn each other's perspective. This is what I was thinking at that time. This is what I was thinking at that time. This is what I was thinking at that time. And we were in the same situation and we were thinking about entirely different things. I think that just gives you a full color perspective of what's happening. When you're running a business and you are doing this big sprint because you have these big sales goals and these big quotas that you're trying to hit, after that period of time, it's helpful to sit down with all the people on your team. What worked well for them? What didn't? What would they recommend going forward? And if you can implement these ideas from everybody in your group, you form a stronger team, and it's a lot more fun to do the journey together because you know where people shine and where you can fill in to get the job done. And then anytime I'm doing these big pursuits, I like to celebrate. I'm a celebrator because here's what happens. I'm going to bring you to Everest. We were on the ice ladders. Those ice ladders are scary. I didn't know I had a fear of heights until I got to those points. And all of a sudden, it set in at a level I didn't expect. And I have all this energy in my body. It feels like anxiety. It feels like fear. And I have to learn to push through it. So I do, with the help of my team and a whole bunch of other things. And I take one step, one step, one step, and I finally get to the other side of that ladder. I still have like all this energy in my body. If you take a second and process that energy as something positive, like, hey, I did this, it's good, that's a memory that gets stored with that energy in your body, and it helps you become a stronger person when you take on the next challenge that might trigger that same type of energy. So I think it's really important to give yourself that time to celebrate your achievements and just get that to be part of who you are. A question that people often ask me is, how do I define success and achievement? And I do think they're 2 different things. I think achievement is finishing a set thing. I'm going to climb Everest and get to the top. You do it, achievement, good job, gold star. Success for me is taking it bigger. It's connecting with the Sherpa. It's writing down the story and sharing it with the next person so it becomes easier for them. It's the whole entire experience that you had in the pursuit. Whether you get to the top of the mountain or not, you can still have success. You might not have the summit, but you have a success story from the journey of what you learned, what you can share, how you can do better, and how that will help you tomorrow. This is a great question that you guys asked. How do you stay motivated and focused when the excitement of the journey wears off? It happens. Like, you get all this excitement because you're going to do this thing, and then you're in the thing, and the goal is so far away that you're like, oh my gosh, we're never going to get there. And you start getting into this negative spiral. You need to stop it as soon as you can. So things that I do to stay excited. I'm a visual person. Like, I like vision boards. I like visual aids. So I will keep a picture of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, right? Like, I might not like every day of work, but I do like knowing I can send my kids to college. So I might have an image in my head of what that looks like, of Jack having a tassel on his hat that he graduated. I will have notes for myself when things aren't good, okay? So I know if I'm taking on a big pursuit, I'm not going to want to do that pursuit every day. I know there's going to be obstacles and setbacks that are going to get heavy and hard. And so if I know that's coming, I just don't know when that's coming, I can prepare ahead of time. So I've written future self notes, and I've had friends write me notes saying, hey, I'm going to climb Everest. I know it's going to get dark. Can you write me a note so that when I'm in that space, you can remind me of who I am? So not only do I do that for myself, but when I read that from my friend Christina or Amy, and I look at those, I'm like, I'm not going to let my girlfriends down. Like, they know who I am. They know how I show up. This is it. Having a playlist, having different videos that you like to watch on YouTube, connecting to your why again. I remember climbing Everest, and my why during that climb was to show my son and everybody who was following along that we can summit our Everest. And we all have an Everest. And so when it got hard, I'm like, man, I got to show these kids we can summit though. Like, this mountain is about summiting and showing them that we can do it. We can do hard things. So really having a solid why helps you in those mundane moments that are zapping your joy. Next question. What's my approach to identifying new paths and opportunities that arise from achieving a goal? And how do you decide which ones to pursue? So here's what's crazy. I was going down to Antarctica to climb Mount Tyree. When I got there, like, that was my mission. And then when you're down there and you see how beautiful the landscape is, and you learn of a volcano or these different activities you can do to go see the penguins, and there's different ways to get to Antarctica. I flew an airplane, you can take a ship. There's so many more things that I didn't know existed until I got down there. So I keep a list going of things that I want to do, see, and experience. And some of those might come to fruition and some of them might not. But when I get done with a goal, I always have like 20 new goals that show up on my sheet. And then when I'm done with this big goal, so like completing the 7-second summits, I made myself a promise that I wasn't going to take on anything for an entire year. Because here's what happens. You get in that momentum of going and achieving and accomplishing, and it feels really, really good because you're getting all that feedback from the environment. You can't go at that speed forever, because then you're going to hit burnout and you're going to crash. So I knew that was going to happen. And I know my easy is going. My hard is resting. And so for this past year, I've been resting and not really taking on anything big or significant. And I've been looking at my sheet of things that might be exciting to do and try. One of them was take my boys on a climb. So I did. I took 3 of the big kids to Kilimanjaro, and we got to do that climb together. And I'm confident as the months continue, there's going to be other things that I want to tick off that list. But the purpose is to just keep building the list and then keep checking in with yourself and saying, okay, what do I want to do right now? Because I'll be honest, I'm kind of done with cold for a little bit. I'm excited to get into more warm weather and do some adventures there. I know it won't be like that forever, but it's definitely like that right now. How do you balance the joy of achieving a goal with the inevitable question of what's next without feeling overwhelmed or lost? It's easy to do what's next because you can fill your calendar with 1,000 things. It's really important for me to be intentional with what I want that next thing to be. So I haven't committed to that next thing yet. I don't feel lost. Like, I have a lot going on still. So I'm not feeling lost. I'm not feeling like I'm underachieving. I'm resting. I'm recovering. And I know my personality will find something new. So I'm not really worried about that. If somebody was worried about that, I would start leaning into things that you like doing. And start small. Like, everything starts small. This whole quest started with climbing a mountain. That single mountain became Ama de Blanc. Ama de Blanc became Everest. Everest became the 7-second summits. You can see how it's like went boom, 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 boom. And I think a lot of people's goals go like that. If you think about the Wright brothers, they were interested in flying. When they got interested in flying and figured it out, it changed aviation and methods of travel and shipping and everything for eternity. If you look at Elon Musk, he had SpaceX. Now they've got satellites and all these different things that are coming off of it. So every idea starts small. It starts with a passion or something that you like, and then it has potential to evolve into something else. But don't get paralyzed about what it could be. Allow it to be what it is right now and see what grows. How do I personally deal with fear or uncertainty that comes into stepping into the unknown when you're trying to achieve a goal? I think fear is a single emotion, and we have a range of emotions that we can tap into at any time. So when fear is taking over in my life, I visualize fear being a little voice in my head that's standing on stage with a microphone, and he's talking louder than everybody else. This is scary, this is scary, this is scary. And in my head, I take the microphone from fear. I say, hey, thanks for showing up. Thanks for your opinion. I'm going to sit you down. And then I give that microphone to her encouragement. And then I let encouragement talk. And I think about myself in a fearful spot. I'm like, what do I need to hear right now to be less scared? And then encouragement has the microphone and starts speaking those words to me so that I can continue on. And being able to shrink it into these little voices in your head that you can turn on or off allows me to continue and push forward when I don't know. And I will say that before the accident, if you know me again, you'll know that the accident is kind of a line in the sand in my life. And to be honest with you, you can make anything a line in the sand in your life. It doesn't have to be an accident. I don't recommend an accident. It could be Friday. I decided to change. My birthday, the new year, whatever it is, that was a line in the sand that I'm not going to do X and now I'm going to do Y. Before the car accident, I was very much goal driven. Anything that I wanted to pick up, I wanted to take it all the way to the top. That actually prevented me from trying things or doing some things because I was afraid that I wouldn't be good at them or it's maybe going to take too much energy. And that was my brand, to be like number one at everything. After the accident, that whole mindset didn't have space in my life anymore. And now it's more about, I want to know. I want to know what I'm good at or bad at. I want to experience it. And if I'm not good at it, who cares? And the people who are judging me are going to die around the same time I am. And I remember hearing on a podcast, like, do you know anybody really from 3 centuries ago? We really don't. So in 3 centuries from now, is somebody going to know who Jenn Drummond is or what she was good at or what she was bad at? And are they going to care? They're not. So that gave me permission to just play, figure it out, try it. So for me, I'm much more about the experience than the end result. And that's opened a lot of doors. And then if I'm dealing with fear, right? So I think about Everest when I went to take on that climb. I didn't know anybody that climbed Everest. So all of my information about Everest was movies. And Hollywood does a really good job at making things scary that they want to make scary. So when I called a coach to climb Everest, he kind of normalized it a little bit for me. And then he introduced me to some people that climbed Everest before. And then they introduced me to a club of people that have climbed Everest, and they meet and they talk every so often. And so all of a sudden, Everest wasn't such a foreign concept. All of a sudden, I was eating lunch with people who had climbed Everest. They spilled ketchup on their shirt. I spilled ketchup on my shirt. We would go on a hike. They would be winded. I'd be doing okay. It really shifted the fear because it normalized it. And I can remember back in business when I was working for somebody and the people I hung out with were working for people. And I went to a group, and this group was all business owners, and I was the only employee in the group. And before long, I became a business owner because it was weird to be an employee and not self-employed. So if you're trying to shift something or do something big, sometimes you have to change the environment and those that you communicate with because that's going to help normalize the thing that was once scary and take that fear out of it. So we'll do one more question for today. And if you guys have questions, be sure to send them to us, because we love doing episodes answering questions, because there's so many people that are thinking the same thing. So please take the time to do that. The last question today is, if you've reached a plateau after achieving a goal, what actionable steps do you recommend to reignite passion and find their next challenge? Okay, so again, if you're at a plateau, normal, that happens. I think you really need to tap in and reevaluate what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve with this life. Because sometimes we hit plateaus because we start getting vague in our pursuits. So dial back in and get into that why. Why am I doing this? What do I want the outcome to be? Is the effort that I'm putting forth making a dent? And just start getting really granular, because once you start getting micro and focusing on those micro actions and you add them up consistently, it starts getting macro results. And then also seek feedback. So talk to mentors, talk to peers, talk to other people of what you're trying to do. They're going to give you a different perspective. So sometimes you feel like, hey, I'm doing the same thing, I'm not really seeing any difference. If I have said that about myself, I'm not really seeing a difference. And then I've looked at tape of me from before. I'm like, oh my goodness, I was embarrassed of the tape from before. Thank goodness we're seeing differences. But you're so close to the thing that you're doing that sometimes you don't get to see those shifts as much as other people looking in. And then I think if you're getting bored, take a break, or maybe cross-train a little bit. And depending on what your goal is or what's going on. So say you're getting bored in your relationship. Take turns deciding date night and add different things to it. Like, okay, we're only going out for dessert, or we're going to go for some athletic activity, or we're going to do something different. Like, just shift it around a little bit. If you're getting bored at work, work in a different location. Like work while you're walking on a treadmill. Change when you're doing your lunch break. There's a lot of different ways to make little changes that allow the energy in the day to feel a lot different. So I think those are things that have helped me, and hopefully they help you. So today was episode 2 of the Break Proof book series. I'm really enjoying this. I hope you are as well. Be sure to hit like, share this episode with a friend. We want to build this community, and that's going to happen because of you. And tune in next week where we get into the next bit of Break Proof. That episode, I think, will be chapter 1, but I'm not going to let you know until next week. Take care.